Why is SSH key authentication better than password authentication? This isn't so much a technical question as it is conceptual. I understand the cryptography used in an SSH key is far stronger than a regular password, but I don't understand why it is considered more secure. Most tutorials I read suggest using SSH key authentication rather than password authentication. But my understanding is that anyone who then has access to a pre-approved client machine will then be able to connect to the server, meaning that the level of security provided by the SSH key is only as strong as the level of security of the physical client machine. For example, if I set up an SSH key on my phone to connect to my home machine, should I lose my phone and someone manages to unlock it, they will be able to connect to my home machine. I know I can then remove the key from my phone from my home machine, but I'm vulnerable until I realize the client device has been lost/breached. Have I misunderstood something, or are those valid concerns?
If your SSH service allows password-based authentication, then your internet-connected SSH server will be hammered day and night by botnets trying to guess usernames and passwords. The botnet needs no information, it can just try popular names and popular passwords. There's an awful lot of people named John with a password of QWERTY123. Apart from anything else, this clogs your logs. If your SSH service only allows public key authentication, an attacker needs a copy of a private key corresponding to a public key stored on the server. They can't just make random attacks, they have to have prior knowledge of your users and have to be able to steal a private key from the PC of an authorized user of your SSH server. The fact that private keys are often protected by a long passphrase is of secondary significance. Update. As comments point out, and as I have experienced, moving your SSH service from port 22 to a high-numbered port makes a dramatic difference in the number of unauthorized login attempts appearing in your logs. This is worth doing, but I do regard it as a form of security by obscurity, a false sense of security. Sooner or later botnets will implement slow stealthy port scanning or you will be deliberately targeted. Better to be prepared. I always use a long passphrase to protect my private key. I guess this is of particular importance on mobile devices that could more easily be lost or stolen. Also, this URL.
The logic is that there are a lot more combinations of SSH keys than passwords, so it is a lot harder to guess. Using SSH keys also allows you to disable password authentication, meaning that most of the automated attacks going round the internet will be useless. With regard to physical security, there's no difference between saving a password and having an unencrypted SSH key on your device if it gets lost or stolen. The only advantage you'd have is that no one has your password, and you could theoretically make sure that all devices have different SSH certificates, so you can just disable the one for your phone. I believe it's also possible to password protect SSH keys. Passwords can also be compromised by your keyboard being monitored over your shoulder. In addition, using similar passwords in many places is a weakness, especially if the password is sometimes used on a less secure computer with potential keyloggers. You're right that an unencrypted key can be read off the hard disk if the computer is stolen, so encrypt it with a password. If your computer is compromised by malware, you're stuffed regardless. Someone can get the encrypted key and keylog your password.
A support panel. Please indeed look necessary.